If you're a golfer who works a desk job and you feel like your desk job is holding you back from playing your best golf, it's making you stiff, it's making you weak, and it's really, really affecting your ability to perform to your best level, this is the video for you. Because today I'm going to show you what you can do to release this tension that you're experiencing and finally unlock your best golf. Welcome back to the Macro Golf YouTube channel. I'm Joe, founder of Macro Golf Online, and today I'm going to take you through a really, really important video. We're going to go through 3 stretches that I like to give to golfers who work at a desk all day. So if you are someone who works a desk job, maybe you work a 9 to 5, maybe your work at the moment is making you work even more hours than that, and you spend a lot of time sat down, driving to work, driving back from work, at work, and you just spend a lot of time in a seated position, you feel like it's restricting your mobility, especially through the hips and through the torso, you're going to be in the right place. Because today I'm going to take you through these stretches, and not only am I going to show you the stretch that you should be doing, we're actually going to take you through it as a follow along routine. So make sure that you save this video down into your playlist so you can come back to it when you want to get this stretch done. So it's really important that we first learn a little bit about what happens when we spend a lot of time sat down and why this is so bad for our golf. So if you imagine being in a desk position or in a seated position, what generally happens when we're working at a desk, shoulders get rounded over a little bit, head works forward a little bit, hands get into a little bit of a cramped position, hips are obviously going to be up, so knee up in line with hip, and we're going to be crunched over into a position that looks something like this. Now, if we were just there for a small amount of time, our body will be able to adjust and it will move on. And normally through day-to-day activities, it doesn't matter too much. We get into a position, we move, we keep on moving, and we don't get the negative effects of being in one position at the same time. The issue with desk job is they go to a lot of effort to make you comfortable, and they go to a lot of effort of keeping you in the same position at one time so that you can be more productive. The issue is that our body gets really good at sitting in this position. So things start to shorten, muscles start to shorten, bone structure starts to change, and actually we end up basically being stuck in this desk-bound position. So what then happens is we're spending all day in this position, knee bent in, shortened through the front of the hip, shoulders rounded forward. Then when we stand up to move away from our desk, what happens is we come into a standing position, hips remain short, we lift ourselves up, we pull the shoulders down and back, and we end up in a posture that looks something like this. So it's obviously exaggerated. Normally, most people would be up in this position, but we had to get a little bit of shortening across the lower part of the back, a little bit of shortening across the front of the hip, shoulders are rounded forward and down, and head works up in a position like this. And the reason why that's so important is these positions that we end up being stuck into and the muscles end up getting short really limit our ability to make good rotational movements that are required for the golf swing. For example, if my shoulders get rounded forward, it really affects my ability to be able to rotate the shoulder, and I'll show you this from the side. So if my shoulders are rounded forward in this position, it's really difficult for me to access full rotation through the shoulder. Whereas if I gain back into a full position and realign my shoulders into a good position, suddenly I've got all this range. When you think about getting to a tall backswing position, it's really important that we have access to all of this range. We're just not going to have it if we're into a rounded, shortened position across the chest. And this shortened position of the shoulder also affects our ability to lift our arm up above our head. So you can do this test at home on your own, roll the shoulders forward, try and lift your arm up, and then pull yourself into a nice good posture and try and lift your arm up. Our body is meant to move in certain positions, and when we close it off, we basically just restricting all of our movement. And this also happens in the lower half as well. Hips get tight, front of the hip gets tight, it pulls the pelvis forward, we start to get aching and pressure into the lower back, and it also affects our ability to rotate through the hips and extend through the spine. Things like early extension, sway, slide, all these things that are caused by poor hip positioning. But don't worry, you're not doomed. We're going to show you exactly what you're going to need to do to start to free up these key areas. So we're going to go after these 3 main ones. We're going to go after the hips. We're going to try and release off some restriction that's happening across the front of the hip. We're going to try and release off the shoulders and try and open up from the chest and from the shoulders. And we're also going to try and work on this middle part of the spine that's going to allow you to rotate, extend and tilt again correctly. So I specifically chose exercises for this video that don't require any equipment. So I don't care where you are or what you're doing, you can always just jump down at any time and get these stretches done. And actually you can get all 3 of these stretches done in a pretty short amount of time as well. So this could form part of your morning routine, it could form part of a pre-golf routine, or it's something you can do in the evenings when you get home to unwind after a long day at work. So enough chat, let's move on to exercise at number 1. This is the hip flexor stack. Now what we're looking to do here is really get some good glute contraction and get some flexion in this hip flexor. So we're going to come into a low lunge. Now from this position with my right leg back, I'm thinking about this right hip flexor. And just from this position, I'm going to avoid coming into a banana back in here. I'm really going to keep a nice strong posture. All I'm going to do is think about contracting this right glute as hard as I can. And as I contract that glute, I feel like I get this stretch on the front of the hip flexor. Okay, so feel that stretch, feel that tension build in this anterior chain. Now what I'm going to do from here is just drop my hips backwards slightly, unload that pressure, and then drive my hips forward, contract my glutes, squeeze, 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 and then drop off. I'm just going to hold that end position for 3 to 4 seconds. So come back forward, squeeze that glute, squeeze, 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 and relax. And I'm thinking about driving my knee into the ground and trying to drive my hips forward from the glute. Let's come forward again. Drive that in, squeeze, 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 and relax. And 2 more this side. Drop forward, squeeze the hip flexor, squeeze, 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 squeeze the glutes, squeeze, and relax. Last one here. Just rock forward, squeeze that glute as hard as you can, drive your hips down, push, 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 and relax. Let's swap sides. Right foot forward now, we're thinking about this left hip flexor. So come forward, squeeze that left glute. It's my practice run. Can I feel that? Can I engage? Yes, good. In that case, we dismount. We come forward and we engage. We're going to squeeze as hard as we can now. Squeeze, 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 and relax. Back in, squeeze as hard as we can. Squeeze that glute, squeeze the glute, push the hips forward, and back. 2 more here. Squeeze as hard as we can. Squeeze the glute, squeeze the glute, squeeze the glute, and relax. And last one. Squeeze as hard as we can. Push, 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 and then finally relax. And that, guys, will replace. So all of that damage you've done sitting down. Great work. Our classic spinal twist. We're going to do come down onto our backs. Not going to need any equipment for this movement. From our back, we're just going to drop our left leg down flat onto the mat. Right leg is going to come up. We're going to have a 90-degree hip in the knee, and this whole system of the right side is going to drop all the way over to the left. So I'm trying to drop my right knee over to the floor to the left, and then I'm thinking about opening up this right side from my chest and my shoulder. So I'm thinking of dropping the right knee to the mat and opening out this right side. Really trying to get as big separation from my hip to my shoulder as possible. I can use this left hand as a little bit of extra support if I want to pull that knee over a little bit more. But once we're open in this position, we're now just going to take 3 really deep breaths to really make control of this position. So let's take an inhale now. Really trying to breathe into this area. Exhale. Feel yourself sink a little bit deeper. 2 more of them. Let's take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. 1 more there. Deep breath in. And out. And repeat on the other side. Right leg goes down now. Left leg comes up. That whole left system drops all the way over to our right. I'll try and not break my microphone. Just drop it over to the other side. Left knee comes all the way over. Right arm now opens up. And you'll probably see that I'm a little bit stiffer this side. I definitely feel that. So let's see if we can get that eased out. So let's take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Let's take another deep breath in. And out. And 1 more deep breath together. Let's take a deep breath in. Really fill up that rib cage. And out. And take a rest there. And that, guys, is your spinal twist. This is the reach under. You're not going to need any equipment for this movement. You're going to come onto your hands and your knees. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our left hand to start off with, and we're basically going to drop our left hand through underneath our right arm and drop our left shoulder down towards the mat. Now from this position, we take a deep breath in, a deep breath out, and just reach our arm a little bit further. You're going to repeat that breath. Take a deep breath in, a deep breath out, reach the arm again a little bit further forward. Just thinking about dropping his left shoulder towards the mat. Take a deep breath in again. Deep breath out. And now what we want you to do is take the biggest breath you can. Think about expanding your ribs as much as you can. So really take the deepest inhale possible. Really feel your ribs, really feel your ribs. And then a forceful exhale. Completely empty your ribs. Reach that hand a little bit further and take 1 more deep breath in. 1 more deep breath out. Great work. Let's do the other side. Right hand now comes through underneath the left arm. think about dropping this right shoulder down towards the mat. Once you feel like you've reached end range, take a deep breath in, deep breath out, reach your hand a little bit further. Again, another deep breath in, deep breath out, reach your hand a little bit further. Really try and keep your hips straight. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out, reach your hand a little bit further. Trying to drop this right shoulder down towards the mat. And now from this position, you're just going to take the deepest breath you can, really trying to expand your ribs, really deep breath. Fill that rib cage up and exhale. Take up any slack that's been given to you. One more deep breath in. Really fill the ribs. Exhale. And that, guys, is your reach on. So there we have our 3 stretches that are going to help you release yourself from this desk-bound posture and unlock your best golf. Hopefully you feel better after doing those movements. I would expect that you feel a little bit free across the hips, torso, shoulders, neck, and hopefully feel like your rotation has just been unlocked again. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. I hope you enjoyed these exercises. Make sure you follow this channel. It really, really helps me out if you subscribe. And we're going to basically bring you all videos like this. We're going to be showing you how to release your body and play your best golf. So make sure you also share this video with someone else, maybe someone you share an office with, and maybe you can do these exercises together before you go out for your next round of golf. But until then, guys, I'll see you on the next video.